Welcome one, welcome all to Pit Road Productions for the final time for Season 2 of the Elite Entertainment Sportscar Series, sponsored by WBM Racing. We're here at Sebring for the last round of this long and arduous championship, and we have champions to crown and a couple of interesting throw-ups for the final round. A few car changes throughout the field just because it's the final race of the season. Bringing it to you live here on the Pit Road Productions YouTube channel is myself, Reese Gardner. Daniel Zippy Salmon is alongside me in the comms box and also producing behind the scenes. Here we are, Zippy. The end here at Sebring.
Well, certainly it is in the end. It is indeed the end for the Elite Entertainment Sportscar Series, but indeed it will be returning. Certainly, well, the league will be returning as Rev Limit Racing League, ladies and gentlemen. They're going under a rebrand. I guess it seems to be something that happens each season, but you know what? I'm all for it. Keep reinventing, keep bringing people in, and certainly it's going to have a new multi-class format next season. Hopefully, we can get them back on board again. Certainly, I've definitely enjoyed having them on board, but certainly Sebring as well. Definitely, it's actually on my Princess approved track list. It's certainly one that is. It's probably in the record books as well. Sunset Corner in particular, known for having so many different lines. But speaking of Sunset and speaking of Sebring, let's see indeed where we've been and indeed where we, well, I guess indeed where we've been on this occasion, Reese.
Yeah, and where we are. Daytona was where we started back in June, and Long Beach the week after. Mugello, trip across to Italy when we went back to the United States for Laguna Seca, then back to Europe for Hockenheim and Spa. Over to the UK for Silverstone, back to Italy again for Imola, Rudskogen in Norway for the 9th round. Sebring right now is where the season is going to end. And, well, we have everyone out there at the moment getting their final preparations in for this race. At the moment, it's Parker Dime who leads the championship, and effectively out of the last round he has already done enough to claim the championship. So this race is just a formality in the end. Dylan Newhard 200 points ahead of Austin Diltz, and Austin, I believe, is actually absent for the last couple of rounds. No, actually, he's not. Austin is here. But, yeah, there is a bit too much of a gap between them for any big difference to be made there. But you never know. The likes of Morgan Smith, Kalman Giori, they might be able to see some change to their championship position. Caps for Zillow, Murphy, Rios, they are all down there in the order outside the top 10, and they have potential to gain a few positions in the championship.
Certainly there is indeed a couple of championship battles going to be occurring, Reese. But I tell you what, we're going to do something new this time around, ladies and gentlemen. Just bear with me here, because it's certainly it's some new territory, and we're going to do our best. But this league is indeed sponsored by WBM, and I've been wanting to show you guys their merch for so long. This is exactly what I'm on about, ladies and gentlemen. You can get some of these. You can even have your name on the back. Absolutely fantastic stuff there. And look, you got the joggers, you got, I don't know what the sleeves are. I don't really understand that to myself. Team flag, hats, ladies and gentlemen, hoodies, you name it, they've got it. Certainly, if you want to support WBM, get on with that. Certainly, I do need to put my hand in my pocket and buy one of those. And indeed, a huge thank you to them for indeed sponsoring this league.
Indeed, and also we should thank the title sponsor of the series as well, Elite Entertainment, though their name won't be on the series name from next season onwards. It's been a pleasure to have them on board. Are you ready to turn your event into an unforgettable experience? At Elite Entertainment, they bring superior quality that keeps the dance floor packed. Whether it's a wedding, corporate event, private parties, karaoke, or music bingo at your local venues, their professional DJs know how to set the perfect vibe. They cover Western North Carolina and Upstate South Carolina. So book now and let Elite Entertainment make your event memorable. Well, here we are in the final couple of minutes of qualifying, and we have another newer driver to the series, or at least one that hasn't been here for a very long time. Ethan Reed, currently on provisional pole position in the McLaren. So a good debut there for Ethan. He's going to be taking one of the short circuit shortcuts there. Obviously not going to be able to get around to do another hot lap. lap. But, Dylan Newhart's just pipped him to pole position. Dylan, of course, being the one who's chased the WBM Mustangs all season long in his Porsche, has gone for pole position once more.
Well, certainly I can indeed remember where we got Ethan Reed from. That was back when we had the MV Sim Sports League, ladies and gentlemen. He was one of the LMP2 drivers, I believe, and has managed to find his way over into WBM. Actually, WBM, if I have a quick look, I'm not too sure about Jacob Quayle, but certainly 1 and 2 are WBM, P5 WBM, 6, 9. Let me see here. Dustin Neerhoof, Austin Dills, and Parker Dime. All of those guys WBM, I believe about 8 of the cars here today, and it looks like a 14-car grid, are indeed from WBM. So We Build Memories really making an appearance here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Big deal from the WBM squads. Dylan Newhart, of course, has got faces all over his car. And this is once again the... Oh, hello.
I know who that is.
Yeah.
Oh, we're both on it. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Terrible. Well,
okay, so it's all been building up to this, hasn't it?
What a face. Ladies and gentlemen, if he wasn't so young, he would be getting a beating, and I don't mean in a good way, but certainly he better put that car on pole if he's going to have the pit road production commentary staff up there on the side of that car. I can't say the words that I really want to express right now, but they start with "you little," and then there's a lot of stars and symbols and that and stuff like that. So certainly Dylan Newhart is indeed going to be very pleased with himself, albeit short-lived, as that does indeed bring his qualifying to an end. And it currently has him at P1, so it's fair to say he's got more pace with my face in the car than I have with my whole body in the car, ladies and gentlemen.
I think I'm the one giving him that pace, honestly, Zippy. There I am, covering the entire right-hand side of the machine.
Well, the question is, did Morgan just rear-end you, me, Dylan, or all three of us?
I think all three of us. It's a party. It's a party. It's the end of the season. Let's all get involved. Oh, yeah. Well, last couple of minutes here in overtime. We're waiting for the last few times to come in. Fozzie Fazillo coming back to the McLaren once again and setting a 2-minute .878 to put himself into 9th spot. And as far as cars on a lap go, I think Scott Harrer might be the only one. So looks like we'll be coming to an end for this session very shortly. Scott turns it in for Sunset Bend, riding the bumps out of the final corner. We'll see what he can do to improve on that 201.8, and he sets a 202.4. So that won't quite be enough for him to gain any positions, but our top drivers in the championship, some of our top drivers, as well as our league admin Adam Capps, have not set times in qualifying. So your grid's going to be as follows. Dylan Newhart on the front row with Cayman Lackney. Ethan Reed and Morgan Smith are 3rd and 4th. The 3rd row being Jacob Quayle and Kalman Giori. Kyle Shelton and Fozzie Fazillo are on row 4, with Luis Rios and Scott Harrer rounding out your top 10. Dustin Neerhoof, Austin Dilts, Parker Dime, and Adam Capps will start from the rear of the grid with no times in qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff. And it looks like these drivers are indeed going to be doing a pace lap, ladies and gentlemen. So some fun stuff indeed. But I got to say, Dylan Newhart, I had my suspicions, but it's fair play. He scored me on that one today.
Yeah, he certainly did. Well, looks like we're going to have a long time to think about Sebring and its various pitfalls as they tour around a full formation lap around this place. The start-finish straight is one of the most hallowed places in sports car racing worldwide. This is such a historic racetrack. It's one of the American classics for sure.
It is indeed. But what I am going to try and do here is I'm going to try and steal the league admin Adam Cap. So Adam, we're all excited for next season. Could you maybe give us a couple of little spoilers about that while you're getting ready to go out on your pace lap?
Well, next season we're going to take about a 4-week break, and then we're going to come back with, trying to decide whether we want to run LMP2, GT3, and GT4, or GT3, GT4, and the GR86. So we're still a little torn between that, but we're going to have 3 classes next season for sure, starting on September 8th. So hopefully we can get a good turnout of guys and mix and match the skill levels with the class levels.
Well, certainly it is indeed challenging being a league organizer. But Adam, while we got you in the booth, we just want to say a big, huge thank you to having Pit Road Productions on board for your second, well, I guess 1.5 seasons here. We've been with you guys, but we are going to leave you to it. Good luck in the race, and it's great to see you back here as well.
Thank you, guys.
Adam Capps has brought us this league for the last 2 seasons running, and he's seen it through in such a big way. We have a consistent crew here now in this series, and we're looking forward to bringing you potentially more next season. Still yet to be confirmed, but we will have this pace lap to go around here, Zippy, before the 45-minute race. This is going to be one of the biggest overtaking opportunities on the lap right here, the run into turn 3, but it's very easy to overcook into this corner.
Oh, absolutely. And I got to admit, I'm loving the paint jobs we got back out. I call them the WBM Classics, ladies and gentlemen. The beautiful red and white has indeed come out. This one being modeled by Parker Dime on this occasion. Further up, Austin Diltz, he's rocking the same paint. And it looks like Morgan Smith there. He's decided to go with the bright green one today, hoping that's going to give him a little bit more luck there in the Audi. But I've got to say, the worst paint of the day is, without a doubt, ladies and gentlemen, the 125 car of Dylan Newhart.
Yes, indeed. At least the left-hand side of it. I'm quite a fan of the right side. Well, through the hairpin we come, and the little meander chicane on the way out is one you're going to have to look out for. You're side by side on the way out of that corner. You're going to slow each other up because ideally you would straight line that corner as we go over the weather. 22 degrees Celsius in the air, 24 on the track, and we're coming up just right now to 8 p.m. in sim time. This is going to be a race into the night, which means visibility is going to be paramount as well.
Yeah, certainly. I do wonder how that's going to have an effect on some of these drivers. I can remember myself actually doing an endurance race in the Corvette GTE, and what actually happened after the guys lost the headlights off the car, and I may have maybe damaged them a little bit as well. I had no lights, and I proceeded to do my stint in the dark, no lights, and got faster, ladies and gentlemen. So it's fair to say that muscle memory is indeed a thing, and actually it made it a lot easier for us. I'm hoping to see these guys retain good conditions of the cars for sure, but certainly it could be an interesting dynamic as well. A lot of the drivers do not run at night, and it's going to be a new set of challenging conditions for them here at Sebring.
Yeah, it definitely is. We're going to be coming up then to one of the slipperiest corners on the track, but one that is most important for the run onto the Ullman Straight. That is Le Mans curve right there. A lot of curb you can use on the exit, but very easy to get an off track, very easy to get oversteer on the way in as you try to find that apex, and the slipstream you can pick up down the Ullman Straight towards Sunset Bend. The final corner is something you need to be searching for every single lap into that curved braking zone where plenty of great passes have been made in the past, but it's very easy to make an error because the walls are close at all points through this turn here. Not much runoff of gravel to speak of, but put all that behind you and focus on turn 1 because pace car is in. And the final round of the Elite Entertainment Sportscar Series is go here at Sebring. Dylan Newhart brings us up to the start, and already the straight line speed of the Porsche is showing to be lacking as those McLarens are right on the back of him. Newhart going a little deeper to turn 1 as we have a spin, a big slide. Morgan Smith is around, and it looks like Dustin Neerhoof had problems in the Porsche as well. One of the WBM McLarens, there might be Fazillo that's had some trouble, looks like it is. And in all of that chaos, Ethan Reed has taken the lead of the race. Dylan Newhart still following him closely. Cayman Lackney and Parker Dime run 3rd and 4th. Parker already up to 4th place. What a run that is.
Well, absolutely incredible run there. Parker Dime is indeed up 10 positions, up 11 positions, ladies and gentlemen, as he's now going side by side there with Dylan Newhart. Certainly Newhart has been having some close competition with the Mustang usually of Parker Dime throughout this entire season. It's fair to say in the AMG, it's not going to be quite as nimble perhaps. The Porsche probably the most nimble GT3 in the field, but right now the McLaren of Ethan Reed is out there, out in front, but Parker Dime, we're going to have to check the replay and just see exactly how he managed to do it. Manages to move his way all the way up 11 spots, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, crazy start there. Parker, of course, switching to the Mercedes for the final round of the season. He's already claimed the championship effectively. So there's more to come from him in different cars. Austin Diltz also in the Mercedes-Benz and finding his way up to 9th place. Looking at the back of Kalman Giori coming into this second half of the lap. A lot of difference in braking points between a lot of these drivers on the opening lap. They're still trying to sort out how they are on race pace. It's a fixed setup series, so there's not much you can change on the cars.
Well, right now we do indeed have another battle, and this one is indeed between Kalman Gori and Kyle Shelton. It's going to be Luis Rios, my apologies, Luis Rios and Kalman Gori as we're going 3 wide through Sunset, ladies and gentlemen, and it looks like Rios was able to get away with that. Swings a wide line, but honestly, Austin Diltz go in there and getting a bit of buy one, get one free action. Very cheeky move there from the number 14 Mercedes, as he's now looking to make a move on Cayman Lackney. Now, remember, these guys didn't qualify. They're trying to do a little bit of last to first. It's fair play to them. They're currently looking at making that a success.
Yeah, Cayman unfortunately had a huge slide out of Sunset Bend. So he's going to have to give up a couple of positions from that. It just looked like he snapped in the middle of the corner there. Meanwhile, Scott Harrah, in all of the chaos, he's only lost 1 position from where he started. He's having a pretty consistent run at the moment, battling without league admin Adam Capps behind him as Morgan Smith and Fozzie Fazillo start to build up some pace and catch up to them. But for now, they are well on their own. Further up the field, Kyle Shelton leading the way out as Kalman Giori made a move on Luis Rios in the background. Shelton got the Mercedes of Austin Diltz right on his tailpipe here and dives up the inside into Collier Curve. Narrow braking zone, brake later than you think, and Austin Diltz is through.
Yeah, it's fair to say these guys are running in traffic right now as Cayman Lackney is looking to go into a battle here with Kyle Shelton. Indeed, the WBM guys are out there in force, but fair play to him. I feel sorry for anybody who's got to go up against these guys. If you can't beat them, join them, ladies and gentlemen. That is indeed what happened to a couple of drivers out here. But right now, Ethan Reed is still holding on to that lead. He's got Parker Dime right behind him, Dylan Newhart in 3rd, but the battles are really further back as Adam Capps looking to try and make a move up on Scott Harrah.
Yeah, looks like Scott running a little narrow through the S-bend at Gendebien, but then Adam runs a bit deep at the Le Mans curve, so his run onto the Ullman straight is compromised. That gives Harrah some breathing room. Well, here comes Dustin Nierhoff on Luis Rios, the move done into the final corner there. And you really get a sense for the bumps on cameras like this, and just how closely they run it to the wall. This is a brutal racetrack, but it requires bravery to be fast.
Yeah, Nierhoff looked like he was going to lose the back end of that Mercedes for a good portion. You see Luis Rios making an absolutely beautiful beautiful line there through turn 1. Absolutely fantastic. Kicks a little bit of dirt up, but can he make the most of this Mustang going up against the Mercedes? The Mercedes, probably one of the more boat-like cars in the series, but seems to be incredible potent in the right hands. The Mustang, almost one of the crowd favorite cars between that and the McLaren, and has been pretty much the staple here for Rios and indeed Shelton this entire season.
Yeah, certainly has. Ever popular Mustang. I find it interesting that the WBM guys have decided to go for the Mercedes of all cars. Potentially they saw the times that I was doing in the practice server on Saturday and decided, hey, maybe it won't be so bad if we switch to the Mercedes just for fun for the final round. But the Merc hasn't seen much use all season. I think our broadcaster entry has pretty much been the only Merc that's had a consistent appearance all season. Newhart has stayed in the Porsche the whole season, but once again, despite taking pole position, he finds himself in 3rd, chasing Parker Dime. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah, certainly it is a story of attrition. I do apologise for the paint job on that vehicle. Certainly I'm going to be roasting him pretty hard later on, as it looks like we got a battle a little bit further back, and this time it's going to be between Kalman Gory and Dustin Neerhoof. Neerhoof now, he's in the draft in what can only be described as a unicorn paint job, ladies and gentlemen, as he's looking to try and make a move. He's got a draft there on the 71. He's going to put a nose in on the inside of Sunset and gets it done in the braking zone. Goes really deep in there, but they do say that Sunset is the corner of many lines, but he does get that position done. The 126 moves up a spot into P8.
Gave him the old Care Bear stare, and unfortunately Kalman Giori had to yield. So let's see what Dustin Neerhoof will be able to do up against Cayman Lackney here. A bit more of a direct line to the inside of turn 1. Such a brutal corner with barely any room for error on the exit. The run continues into turn 3, but it's not quite enough to get alongside. Has to yield. Perhaps the run out of turn 5 will net some profit for Dustin Neerhoof. But out through Big Bend, all he can do is stare at the back of that McLaren and wait for his opportunity. Here he comes then up the inside into the hairpin, a corner where it's so difficult to pick your braking point lap on lap, and he's run too deep, and the McLaren is back through.
Well, that's indeed going to be a very good battle indeed, as it looks like Ethan Reed now is under some pressure from Parker Dime. Dime is up 11 spots so far. Ethan Reed, he used to drive the LMP2, I believe, ladies and gentlemen, in the NB Sim Sports League that was previously here on Pit Road Productions, once again sponsored by WBM. But right now, it is indeed both of these drivers, both of them WBM, actually all the top 4 for sure are WBM, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we build memories, get some of that merchandise. So certainly if you want to run with these guys, it's more of a family group, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of they don't just race together. It is indeed friendly battle. But we're going to go back here as Neerhoof and Cayman Lackney are now going side by side. You see there a little bit of curb there from Neerhoof, but is he able to keep this position going? You got Kalman Gory right behind. He's going to be the camera car in this scenario, ladies and gentlemen. Side by side they go. They're making their way towards the back straight.
Oh, finally, Neerhoof gets it done on Lackney, who's forced wide onto the curb. That allows Kalman Giori right through as well. See, that's exactly what I always look for in a battle if I'm in Kalman Giori's position. The drivers are fighting ahead of me, wait for them to slow each other up, and then I can get myself a free position. Well, let's see if he can translate that into a move on Neerhoof. But further back, Adam Capps and Morgan Smith chasing each other down here. Smith with a very tight line through the final corner. Is this going to net himself a position? It is. Adam Capps now back to 12th place.
Yeah, certainly Morgan Smith very much on the recovery drive there as further back through the field. What happened to Ethan Reed, ladies and gentlemen? It's showing me something went terribly wrong for him.
Yeah.
We're going to have to check the replay and find out just exactly what happened.
Oh God! Okay, so that was out of Le Mans. Did he have problems with traction, or did he get some help from Parker Dime? Is the question. No, actually, that's all by himself. Losing the rear end through Le Mans into the tire bundles and all the way to the back of the grid for Ethan Reed, who took the lead in spectacular fashion on lap 1. That leaves Parker Dime in the lead with Dylan Newhart chasing in second.
Yeah, certainly Dylan Newhart is probably sick of seeing the back of Parker Dime's car at this point, or indeed Austin does. But certainly, you know what, I'd probably want to get past Dylan Newhart as well. I wouldn't want to have mine or indeed your face. Sorry, Reese, looking at me in the limelight. As Morgan Smith now, he's got that Audi, probably got the tyres up to temperature at this point. With 5 laps in, can he get the moves done on Scott Harrah in that McLaren?
Yeah, big pace difference between these two. Harrah is a consistent driver, but he can't quite get the pace that Smith can most of the time. Yeah, you could see there the pace difference in the corner there. Smith's going to have to be careful making his way around here. Doesn't want to ruin Scott Harrah's race. He's having a good run at the moment. Right on the back of him, coming into Gendebien and then Le Mans. Got to run all the way out over the runoff area to widen the run into the corner. That can net you a couple extra Ks an hour of straight line speed, but doesn't look like Smith has quite nailed it that time.
Yeah, certainly he is going to get a fantastic draft there. You can see Smith is starting to close in, but is it going to be enough to make a move in Sunset? He's putting a nose in, but not quite able to get it done. Further up in the field, you've got Cayman Lackney. He's going at it as well with Luis Rios right behind him.
Yeah, Luis Rios trying to look at 8th place as there's fighting further between Harrah and Smith out of Sunset Bend, and Smith has the inside for turn 1 and through he sails. So now Hara will need to concentrate on staying in touch with him because Lackney and Rios continue to fight ahead. And if they get side by side, they will slow each other up.
Certainly. Could you see the huge amount of suspension travel happening going in that Audi there? Look at it, even more again. Certainly it seems to be a little bit sensitive to the curves, but we're going to go back up to Cayman Lackney now because he indeed is in a battle with Luis Rios right behind. It's McLaren versus Mustang, ladies and gentlemen, and it looks like Lackney's going to have to fight to hold on.
Oh, yeah, he's fighting to hold on through the hairpin at least, isn't he? Braked way too late and went about a car's width wide of the apex. Very easy to do. One thing that I've always noticed, I've driven loads of laps around this place. I have never quite been able to pick a clear braking point for the hairpin. It's always by feel every single time, and it seems to change every single lap. I think that's what Cayman's starting to find here, as Rios's Mustang is now alongside him into Tower Corner, but nice and deep on the brakes. He's going to hold on to the position around the outside and get the run out.
Yeah, absolutely incredibly close there. I thought that Rios had its game set and match, but wasn't quite able to capitalize. Certainly Lackney a little bit hotter on the brakes, but is he going to survive? And for how much longer? The battle for P8 is incredibly close, ladies and gentlemen. But it looks like Dylan Newhart has indeed managed to catch up to Parker Dime. The gap down to 0.7 of a second as well.
Yeah, well, Austin Diltz is starting to narrow the gap for the podium as well. He's only about half a second behind Dylan Newhart at the moment as Rios picks up the slipstream on Cayman Lackney, and Morgan Smith is right with them here. Side by side, McLaren versus Mustang into Sunset Bend. Rios taking due care with this move. He doesn't want to ruin anyone's race
Smith
with this fight here. Here comes Smith indeed, 3 wide down the front straight. Smith in the Audi trying to sneak through. Is this going to work out for them? Late on the brakes from Morgan Smith, and he takes 2 positions in one go. Almost contact between Cayman Lackney and Luis Rios, but they keep it clean. Great racing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely read my mind. Fantastic racing, but we are indeed going to go back up to the lead pack for a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I say the lead pack is right now. Newhart has a problem, ladies and gentlemen. Austin Diltz is indeed caught up to the back of him. Reese Gardner is under attack, as indeed myself as well. And you know what? A change of plan. We're going back again because I think they're going to be going 3 wide down into the hairpin.
Oh, they were hinting at it, weren't they? Smith not having a good run through Sector 1. A little worse than I expected for him. And he was under attack from Rios coming into the hairpin, which was very interesting. Well, Cayman Lackney, it seems like things aren't completely falling out from underneath him. He is staying in touch with Luis Rios, and they'll still be having a rollicking battle for the back end of the top 10. They'll space out a bit here through the twistier part of the circuit, as looks like Newhart is really under attack from Diltz for P2 now. Diltz was looking at an inside move at Jean de Bien, and he might be able to get one here out of the Le Mans curve. Now, the Porsche is notorious for being lower on straight line speed than the other GT3s. Will the Mercedes have the grunt to get past? I love this deep, throaty German V8, and it gets its way up the inside of Sunset Bend. Austin Diltz puts Dylan Newhart down to 3rd again.
Well, we have got to wonder as well, there's a lot of this track where you are indeed full throttle application, and this is maybe where the Porsche is going to struggle. Is it going to make it up on the more infield parts of the track? Certainly, the straightaways will indeed, I think, favour the AMG, but indeed there is more battling going on as Kyle Shelton is now making an attack on Dustin Neerhoof.
Yeah, Neerhoof making the move on Shelton into Sunset Bend earlier on in the lap. So we will have plenty more fighting to come here. It is going to become a 3-car battle with Jacob Quayle now getting caught by these two. Good to see that Quayle is still out there once again in the Corvette. One of the drivers in the field who's decided not to change car for the final round. And he's been holding on to a good position pretty much all race. It's been a quiet one for him, but I can hear the volume increasing in the background as those guys approach from behind.
Yeah, it certainly is indeed. It looked like Cayman Lackney had a little bit of an off track there, but right now we're going to stay here with Dustin Neerhoof as he's indeed going to be trying to hold off Kyle Shelton behind. It is Mustang versus Mercedes, ladies and gentlemen, and for some reason I'm incapable of saying like model to model. It always seems to be model to brand. Forgive me for it, but you know, nevertheless, you got the point across as indeed Mercedes versus Mustang, ladies and gentlemen, and right now the Mercedes holding out on top.
Indeed. German engineering versus American big horse Mustang chasing down through this high-speed section of the circuit. One of the things that I love about Sebring is it's been through so many changes over the years. It's almost a completely different circuit to how it was when it first opened in the early 1950s, but it still retains its character. High speeds, bumps, runs over the concrete. You can really tell that this track was built on the runways and access roads of a former US Army airfield.
Well, certainly, you know what, if you're going to convert a military base, I'm definitely down for it becoming a racetrack, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, as you see right now, it looks like Shelton is indeed dropping off a little bit to the back of Nearhoof, but right now Luis Rios is maybe going to try and make a move on the WBM leader, that is Morgan Smith. So certainly the Mustangs look to be quite potent here today at Sebring.
Yeah, Mustang doing well on its home turf here in Florida. Luis Rios still keeping Morgan Smith very honest here. Smith may be struggling a bit for consistency in that Audi. Traditionally, the Audi has been a car that's despised bumps. It doesn't like harsh curbs. It doesn't like too many bumps through corners. And there's one thing that everyone knows Sebring has, it's bumps.
Oh, absolutely. Certainly. It's like running over my face, Reese, but without quite the higher level of machinery. Indeed. But one thing we are going to do very shortly is take a look at the replay from Parker Diamond, see just exactly how he managed to make up so many positions at the start. But right now, Morgan Smith managing to hold on, albeit only just, to the number 10 car of Luis Rios.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to this replay, Zippy, because I am curious myself as to how Parker Dime managed to pull all of that off. He was up into 4th at the end of lap 1, which, or close to the end of lap 1. So I'm thinking we got lucky a couple of times at least. But regardless, keep our eyes on Jacob Quayle, as he sees Dustin Neerhoof growing ever larger in his rear view mirror. And a run out of the Le Mans curve will translate into a beautiful slipstream down the Ullman Straight here, named for Alec Ullman, the founding father of Sebring. Zippy, I don't know if you're aware, but Alec Ullman wrote a book about the founding in the early years of Sebring. As sailing through goes the Mercedes.
Well, if that was
Goodness
a book,
me, what a
Reese,
move.
I think that one may have been written by Captain Jack Sparrow. Certainly it was indeed. He's did indeed sail through there, but look how close they are as they go across the start-finish line. Jacob Quayle is not taking that sitting down. Is he going to be able to make a move there into turn 1? The mid-engine layout of the Corvette, you'd think it'd be a little bit more nimble in the corners, just grazing the curb there. Is he going to be able to fight back against the 126 of Dustin Neerhoof?
Well, he had the run down the start-finish straight, but it seems not quite able to do it. Cayman Lackney coming into the pits, our first driver to take the pit stop that everyone will have to take in this one. A little bit of fuel and not much more. Maybe if you Ethan Reed, get that front-end damage repaired, because he hasn't quite made much progress forward since his spin.
Yeah, you can see a little bit of damage there. Don't get me wrong, it's hard with the lighting to try and get the full grasp of it, but Scott Harrow right now is indeed going to be that camera car. I think we're going to leave this be in a minute, as it looks like Ethan Reed looking for a point by. I'm not being funny, he's not entitled to one. You see a little bit of nose getting caught there. Fair play to Harrow. He is indeed holding back and not giving these positions away.
Oof, yeah, this is a great, good defense there from Scott Harrow. Further up the front, Parker Dime, our leader, and this is how he got on his way to that. He nailed the start. Oh, actually, looks like there was quite a checkup there in the midfield. And Parker Dime finds a lane up the inside there behind Dustin Neerhoof, and then they go 4 wide into turn 1. The WBM Mercedes either side. There goes Neerhoof. There goes Morgan Smith, and there goes one of the Mustangs off the circuit there. And that's how Parker Dime ended up getting from 13th to 4th by the exit of the first corner.
Yeah, that's definitely a little bit different way of doing it, as it looks like Ethan Reed has indeed made his way by, but it doesn't look like Scott Harrah is going to take it lying down, ladies and gentlemen. He is indeed looking to try and fight back, as that is indeed the closest battle we got on screen right now, as indeed it looks like the damage is enough that Ethan Reed cannot hold Harrah off. Harrah having the race of the season right now, as Ethan Reed sticks a nose up on the inside. He's got to try and come to that pit lane sooner rather than later. It's clearly holding him up, and I tell a lie, it looks like Harrah's coming in the pits instead.
Yeah, that's an interesting decision from Ethan Reed to stay out there. I would have come in at the earliest opportunity to get that damage repaired. Well, Scott Harrah obviously setting up his race for the ending stint. Morgan Smith also jumping into the lane, and you won't be seeing them go up on the jacks here. If you get a tyre change, it's going to be at least a 30-second pit stop. It's definitely a lot quicker just to take the fuel, because on the GT3 cars, the tyres can certainly last 45 minutes, up to an hour plus on that rubber. So Morgan Smith gets back out. The tyres have cooled down a little in these very cool track conditions, but should be able to get them back up to temperature nicely. Stop complete, and thus far, looks like Morgan Smith actually has the second quickest pit stop out of the 3 that have been done so far. Scott Harrah, 16.5 seconds, your quickest one through the lane so far.
Absolutely. Well, what we are going to do, I think we're going to take another quick look here at the green flag start race and see what else we can see happening, see what happened there.
So Morgan Smith. Okay, so there was a big checkup there started by what looks like Kalman Giori there. That was the WBM McLaren flying through, and there was some contact there between Quayle and Smith on the way into turn 1. Nierhoff spins in front of Smith, and then he gets on the power. The tyres are too cold. Over a bump, maybe? Traction control kicked in, and then Cayman Lackney arrives on the scene, entering stage right. But, yeah, quite a bit of chaos on the start there. Here comes a battle. Dustin Nierhoff, he's been working hard to get back up to this position. He is up 7 places from where he started, and he's looking at a potential podium here as he chases down the Porsche of Dylan Newhart, who's a little deep there into turn 3. New pit stops from Kyle Shelton and Luis Rios, the teammates coordinating themselves in the pits.
I got to admit, on the team game, certainly, obviously WBM have bought that, but fair play to them as well. Shelton and Rios have been a great pair in those Mustangs, matching paints, albeit in different colours, and I think it's really added not just to the league, but to the broadcast as well, so fair play to them, as indeed pit lane is busy. Shelton is just making his way out. Fazillo's in the pits. Rios is in the pits. Adam Capps is in the pits as well. He's just coming down pit road. I felt sure I saw him pit earlier as well. Maybe had a little bit of an incident. As there goes Morgan Smith, ladies and gentlemen. But is he going to see some traffic on his way out? It's showing me that Rios is ahead, and it looks like no, not quite. Smith has indeed managed to clear the Mustang of Luis Rios.
Yeah, well timed there for Morgan Smith. He manages to keep that clear air. Meanwhile, Newhart and Nierhoff, they, I think, first started fighting when Nierhoff had only recently joined the series at Laguna Seca earlier in the season. So we're going to see the fight here again. Battle of the German cars, but pretty much polar opposites in terms of engine placement. The Mercedes being a front mid-engined machine. The engine is just behind the front axle. Meanwhile, in Dylan Newhart's Porsche, the engine sits right over the rear axle. Certainly makes it entertaining to drive. It handles well, but it seems that the Mercedes does have more grunt. Dylan Newhart goes very wide into Sunset Bend and practically hands Nierhoff the position, but he's going to set up a massive cut underneath out of the final corner. They'll run side by side into turn 1, getting a face full of Care Bear right there. And Dustin Nierhoff will have to defend into the first corner. Newhart trying to use the grip of his Porsche to make the move back. Does he search for a move at turn 3 is the question. He's a bit later on the brakes, but not quite. It looks like Nierhoff's covered him.
Yeah, certainly if Newhart's going to fight back, he's going to have to do it in twisties. The AMG is just too potent there on the straightaways. As you can see in the backwards, Jacob Quayle trying to get caught up to this battle. Certainly if these guys keep fighting, that 2.6, 2.7 second gap will indeed come down, as it looks like Newhart looking to try and put a nose in as he go down towards the chicane. Thinks better of it, but are we indeed going to see a bit more of Reese Gardner making his way back up to the podium?
I certainly hope so. I had the pace for a podium when I guessed it at Long Beach, but didn't quite nail the race. So,
you nailed
Dylan,
the wall, didn't you?
You've got a job to do. A couple of times. A couple of times.
It's Long Beach.
I got to the finish. I got to the finish at least. But here we come into Tower Turn. And it's such a difficult apex to pick at that corner. It tightens up right in the middle. So you got to be careful of your turn-in point. Get that arc through the corner for the run down this lovely high-speed section through the kinks. Get back online to brake for Jean de Bien and Le Mans. And be careful of the curb there. It's a lot higher than you think it is. Same there. See how much the curb is raised at the apex. Big run through there for Dylan Newhard, and ultimately a bit too much understeer. It seems that Neerhoof, well, I was going to make a pun that Dustin's left him in the dust, but I kind of missed that opportunity.
Well, certainly it did look like Newhart had to lift on corner exit there, as indeed the two race leaders are synchronized in both their cars and indeed their pit entrance as they make their way down pit road, as Dylan Newhart brings it down to the pits as well. So ladies and gentlemen, we are indeed going to have a new race leader, the 126 of Dustin Neerhoof.
Yeah, is this going to be an opportunity to gain a little bit more track position for Dustin Neerhoof, staying out for a lap longer with a lighter car than everyone behind him who's having to take fuel now? So Quayle pulling it into the box. This is going to leave Neerhoof as the only car yet to take a stop as Ethan Reed's come in behind these guys. Stop complete for Parker Dime, 15.5 seconds. Austin Diltz with an 18-second pit stop. Bit of variance between the WBM Mercedes cars. Newhard with a 16.4 second stop, 16.9 for Jacob Quayle. Ethan Reed only just pulling in to get that damage repaired. And it seems that Quayle is starting to gain a little more on Newhard. There goes Shelton and Giori having already taken their pit stops. And Ethan Reed with 17.3 seconds in the lane will finally get back out there.
Yeah, certainly he's good to be back out and on the pits. And as I have a look at the times, there is indeed quite the variation. The smallest time I can indeed see is actually by Parker Dime of 14.4, all the way as high as somebody did a 22. Cayman Lackney did a 22.12, so I'm not quite sure what happened there for the number 13 car. But what this does mean as well is we're going to see a couple more battles there. Is right now Cayman Lackney is going to be in the clutches of the one and only Mr. Fozzie Fazzillo, the best wheel colour on the entire grid.
Absolutely. For not that we can see much of it in the steadily darkening conditions. Well, Fozzie has been working hard from the very start of this race. He had a difficult start to it, hasn't quite advanced much beyond 13th place. Let's see what he can do versus Cayman Lackney here.
Well, certainly, indeed, Fozzie Fazzillo on a good day has absolutely incredible pace. If you put him in an LMP2, he is even more potent, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly the GT3 does indeed have a slightly different skill set when it comes to driving it. There's a lot more downforce available in them LMP2 cars. As we have a new car down the pit road, ladies and gentlemen, it's Dustin Neerhoof. But what we're going to see here for strategy, certainly Dylan Newhard was going up against him. Are we going to see the undercut really pay out for Newhard? As right now, Neerhoof in the pits. Here comes Parker Dime and Austin Diltz, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to make the way by. They had a good, decent gap ahead of Neerhoof, so I don't think they're really going to be in contention for it. But the car to watch is indeed going to be the number 125 Porsche. Let's see exactly where he's going to be when Neerhoof re-emerges.
Neerhoof with a 14.4 second stop. That's 2 seconds quicker than Newhard was able to manage in the pits, and he's going to come out well ahead. Newhard can't even see him coming through turn one. There he is in the distance, just popping into frame.
Yeah, I thought I needed a different camera, but he did. He's absolutely slingshot it in the pits there. So certainly Newhard getting a little bit of pressure, but we have to wonder, is Jacob Quayle, is he going to start to come into play? Been a pretty quiet race for him so far, but that Corvette may indeed start to become into its prime time, ladies and gentlemen, and maybe feels like taking a bite out of that Porsche just ahead.
Yeah, the field is cleansed. Everyone has taken their pit stops, and now we are racing to the checkered flag. And Quayle, basically the same lap time as Dylan Newhard last lap, both on out laps. And we'll see if the Corvette has a bit more pace once they actually get a couple of hot laps down. Ethan Reed, meanwhile, back up to 10th and chasing down Luis Rios. It looks like the damage has been repaired on that McLaren, and Rios is wide in the hairpin.
Yeah, certainly the hairpin is indeed a very challenging corner indeed. Some people can brake so incredibly late. I don't know how they do it myself. Definitely struggle with a little bit of consistency there, as right now Ethan Reed looking to try and fight his way back. On paper, he should be quicker, but don't get me wrong. I've proved it before, and I'm sure that Rios can do it as well. If you can position that car correctly, you will indeed hold back the guy behind you. Don't get me wrong, he's got a long time to hold on, another 15 minutes to try and keep that 22 McLaren behind him. But is he going to be able to do it? Certainly the draft here, very potent as well, as you head down the straight towards sunset.
Yep, slipstream's going to be very important. Obviously, balance of performance equalizes the relative speed of these cars quite a bit, but the McLaren does cut a lower profile through the air, so it should be a bit slipperier than the Mustang, and it's already going to be on here on the exit of Le Mans with a wide run from the Mustang here. Ethan Reed drawing alongside Luis Rios on the way down the Ullman Straight and through into Sunset Bend. Nice move indeed. While we have this calm moment, Zippy, my point from before about Alec Ullman's book, it is very interesting indeed. If you can grab yourself a copy and read a perspective of the early 1950s, the Sports Car Club of America, the state of motorsports at the time and what they wanted to achieve setting up Sebring International Raceway, it's a great read indeed.
Well, I am certainly down for it indeed. I think a lot of the tracks in the UK are actually owned by, I think it might be Jolly and Palmer, but don't quote me on that. I think it's Palmer Motorsport.
Jonathan Palmer.
Jonathan Palmer. I was close. You know what? Going off memory, that was pretty close, ladies and gentlemen. I think he has Donington Park, Cadwell Park, Snetterton, and I think he's got Knock Hill as well, but don't quote me on that.
He's got Navarra in Spain as well.
Damn it, the guy's pretty much bought every place that we like to play, ladies and gentlemen. But don't get me wrong, he's not bought Atlantic Motorsport Park yet. That is the only community track in North America. Literally, it's owned by volunteers, ladies and gentlemen, if that makes any sense. But right now, Fozzie Basillo, he's trying to get a little bit of ownership, and this time upon the number 13 car of Cayman Lackney, as he makes a beautiful pass there into the hairpin.
Now up the inside and through into 12th. But Lackney's going to try and fight him back here. Picks up a bit of slipstream through Fangio. And then into Collier Curve, named for Sam Collier, who founded Sebring as well. Cut back from Fazillo. He's going to remain in 12th position for the time being.
So absolutely fantastic battle going on so far. And ladies and gentlemen, some people, they will only focus on the race leaders. We personally will focus wherever there is a battle, ladies and gentlemen. And right now, that is indeed back here for P12 between the Fozzie Fazillo and Cayman Lackney.
Indeed. Well, is there anything that Lackney's going to be able to do to find his way back past Fazillo? He's probably going to have to count on a mistake, and there might be one on the horizon, because it seems that they're starting to catch up to Scott Harrer, not too far in front in 11th place. With 12 minutes to go in the race, they should be on him very shortly.
Yeah, it certainly is indeed going to be a fight to the end, as it looks like Lackney's trying to make a move there on the inside. Fozzie Fazillo manages to close him off, but for how long? Certainly Sunset, there's so many different lines through there. Are we going to see Lackney make a run as they head down the start-finish straight?
Across the line they come into turn 1 and try to make up more time through the first corner. Turn in a bit later than you think, or a bit earlier than you think, depending on the lap. It's another one of those corners that you can never get quite right. It's such a difficult circuit to absolutely nail and get the fastest time. Both of them seem to run wide through turn 5, but it doesn't hurt them too much.
Certainly, as we're going to reverse to another battle, ladies and gentlemen, this time between Kyle Shelton and the one and only Mr. Calman Gorey right behind. Now, we have seen he is keen to try and make some moves there. We've seen good sportsmanship as well from Calman Gorey, but right behind him is Morgan Smith in that Audi. He's down 4 positions, this Morgan Smith, but he's looking to try and make a comeback right now, as he can indeed see 2 cars ahead of him, and he is closing in fast. That was a 10th there in just 1 corner.
Yeah, big speed from Morgan Smith. But the Aerokinetics Corvette is focused on the Carmatic Mustang up ahead. Gentle through Le Mans, easy on the throttle out. Oh, I've just noticed that Scott Harris had a spin, unfortunately. He has fallen down to 13th place. Fazillo and Lackney duly through there as the slipstream is on for Calman Giori on Kyle Shelton. Oh, bit of a snap for Shelton in the braking zone of Sunset Bend, and he's going to run very wide in the second part of the corner. And Giori is through right in time for Morgan Smith to arrive on the scene as well. And this is going to be momentum into turn one. Got the outside line to contend with, though. Shelton is going to defend this one.
Yeah, he's going to have to. It's all side by side, and that's contact. A little bit of a nudge. If it's any consolation, it's the same spot he went off in turn one. Definitely not what he had in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take another quick peek at that and see how this all started in the beginning.
Yeah, Smith getting the run there on on Kyle Shelton, sorry. Shelton, yeah, he started running wide on the exit of the corner, and Smith was just trying to search for that exit curb. Make sure that his line was good, but it looks like that's going to be the end of things for Morgan Smith. The contact so big, it actually seems to have broken the left rear suspension. And it looks like that's going to be the end of Morgan Smith's race. He might not be able to get back to the lane.
That's definitely an unfortunate end to the season, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have to see if we can get him over here in the booth very shortly. But right now, Fozzie Fazillo is indeed still going at it with Cayman Lackney.
Now, these guys haven't left each other alone, have they? They want a good race for the back end of the top 10. With Morgan Smith out, that leaves us with 13 cars still running. What kind of exit are we going to be seeing here through Collier? Got to be careful of that curb right there on the inside of the left-hander. It can easily tip you around. And it's desperately searching for a clear line into Tower. Is that too deep there for Fazillo? It is. And Cayman Lackney will move on through. They will keep it side by side for a moment, but Lackney back ahead.
Yeah, certainly we're going to have to see if this battle is indeed going to get back onto it as Fazillo now. He's been quite potent, runs maybe a little bit deep there, but he's still very much in the slipstream with the number 13 of Cayman Lackney. And you can see there, look at the closing gap just there. I think it's going to be a bit of cat and mouse going on between these two. The battle for the final position in the top 10.
Yes, as we've been looking at this, unfortunately, our league admin, Adam Capps, has retired back to the pit lane. Seems the end of the race for the number 2, but still plenty of racing to be had here between these McLarens. It looks for the moment that Cayman Lackney has the edge over Fazillo. It's just a case of who makes the least amount of mistakes between these two.
Yeah, certainly in both of these guys in equal machinery as well. But being a fixed setup, there really is a test of the driver alone. It's not a case of who's got the best setup or who indeed has adapted to the setup the best. It is indeed going to be a battle purely on driver talent. As Fazillo there looking to make a move. He's there. They're side by side as they go through the left-hander and still side by side as they now go through the right-hander, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a drag race down to the hairpin.
Yes, this is what we love to see out of turn 5. The outside line carried more speed for Cayman Lackney, and he's going to defend the inside for the hairpin here. Has he gone too deep? He sails past the apex, and the door is open for Fazillo to get through, but too much power too soon. Fozzie Fazillo spins around, and that's going to be the battle over, and he's stopped. Is he going to return back to the pits?
I believe so.
That's a shame for Fozzie. It'll be the end of it for him. Well, now we move up to the top battle in the race between Dylan Newhart and Jacob Quayle for 4th. Then Quayle, only car in the field, still occupying the position he started in. This could be the chance that he needs to grab a best of the rest. Oh, no, that's not going to do it. Ping-ponging off the walls there out of the final corner, and that car is crabbing. Big suspension damage for Jacob Quayle, just as he was seeing a chance to catch up to Dylan Newhart.
Yeah, let's take a quick look at the replay and just see exactly how that went down.
I think it's another case of too much power too soon through Sunset Bend for Jacob Quayle. You got to be careful of the wall on the exit. And he just bounced off it, and that sent him into the inside wall as well. Big shame there for Mr. Quayle. And, I mean, they're dropping like flies at the moment. We had Smith and Capps out a lap or two ago. Fozzie Fazillo out 1 lap ago. And now Jacob Quayle is gone as well. Scott Harrer is going to be enjoying that at least. He can regain potentially 10th place from this one. Actually, it looks to me like Morgan Smith and Adam Capps, well, actually Adam Capps at least, is going to re-emerge back onto the circuit. So not a retirement for the number 2, just had to get some damage repaired.
Oh, we're now getting a little bit of heat here from Drew Trader. Stop watching people, lol, commentators curse. Now, I've got to say, full deniability on that one. It's part of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Drew, on the flip side, if you come in here, we'll make sure we watch you. Certainly, we've seen some great pace from you, and you did indeed win one of the previous seasons as well, Mr. Drew Trader. I believe he won the Nifty Lift Series. Yeah, it's season 1. I'm getting confused. I'm thinking this thing's been going longer than it has, but he did indeed win Nifty Lift Series 1, so certainly a huge shout out to him, and a little bit of roasting as well because he's not here in the race today. Certainly he's had some stuff going on. Getting this league rebranded as well to the Red Limit Racing League. Hopefully they will indeed be back next season after that 4-week break. But right now, Kyle Shelton looking to try and make his way up into the top 5. Just Cameron Gorey standing in his way.
Yes, and, well, a good amount of time being made up by Shelton on the last lap. Giori, a 2:01.1, 2:0.285 for Shelton. That is a 9/10 of a second gain. So this Mustang is looking quick in the dying stages of this race, and he's picking up slipstream from the Corvette on every single straight line section. Through turn 1, who has the edge here? The mid-engine Corvette versus the front-engine Mustang. Just kiss the apex there of turn 1, run out over that narrow exit curb, and then that sets you up for the rest of the lap. As long as you get turn 1 right, you're usually on for a good one.
Absolutely, so crucial to get as close to that wall as you possibly can, and then you almost have to flirt with the sand on corner exit. It is a corner of courage, I guess. Certainly, if you go into there and you leave a little bit of it on the table, you will suffer very greatly on pace. But right now, this gentleman is definitely not suffering on pace. Number 21 car, that Ford Mustang of Kyle Shelton. He's had a good race so far. He's up 1 position. Calvin Gorey up 1 position as well. Can he capitalize on that and make his way up into the top 5?
That is the question. Here comes the next braking zone down to Collier Curve, and then this deceptively challenging section here, flat out in a GT3 car, but you've got to be precise with your steering inputs. Just touch the curb on the way into tower. You don't have to hit the curb at the apex. Sometimes it can be faster if you don't. And for the moment, looks like the both of them are even. This is the closest battle on the circuit at the moment. In fact, the only real battle that's showing up between these drivers, as it looks like Jacob Quayle has emerged back onto the racetrack. He's been able to get back out there too. Good to see. So that only leaves Fazillo and Smith not taking part at the moment. Giori breaking the draft of Kyle Shelton. He doesn't want this Mustang to get by.
Yeah, certainly he is indeed going to have to pull up the defensive drive of the season, as right now it looks like Kyle Shelton is indeed applying the pressure. Now, there is another technique you can use, ladies and gentlemen, and that is certainly occupying the mirror of the guy ahead. Certainly, Shelton's been there for a good couple of laps now. We're getting into the closing stages of this race. I'm yet to see a white flag, though. I do wonder if he's going to get 2 laps to try and make his way by.
I think he will. My timing's showing me is 1.5 laps to go for the leader. So Parker Dime will be taking the white flag next time by. Who gets the best exit out of turn 5 here? It's a corner that tightens on the exit, so you need to late apex it for the best run through Big Bend down to the hairpin. And it seems like Shelton was able to nail it a tiny bit better than Giori did. Little touch of slipstream as they enter the hairpin. Do either of them go too deep?
Certainly, it is indeed a very, very good battle so far. Gorey has been able to hold on. I do have to wonder if Shelton is maybe going to try and time this pass, ladies and gentlemen. Try and do it at the last possible move. Is he going to make it happen through sunset and then just keep applying the pressure? Is he going to keep Gorey under his heels, ladies and gentlemen, under his thumb potentially, to try and shake him up a little bit there to just make it a little bit easier for him in the closing stages of this race?
You win the battle of the 71 versus the 21. Oh boy. Well, into the final turn for Parker Dime. He will be taking the white flag this time around. That Mercedes has proven to be quite the solid competitor. And, well, if the WBBM guys were as quick as they were in the Mustang, if they'd run the Merc all season, they might have been able to get a lot of the same results. but it's been a class performance from our champion-elect. Parker has been nigh unstoppable this season.
He's been an absolute machine, and certainly a shout out to Austin Diltz as well. He did have to miss a rounder as his motherboard decided to, for lack of better words, leave the chat. But it's great to see he's back and running so quickly on as well. Maybe a little bit of forgiveness there for Dylan Newhart. But certainly he won't be getting it from me rocking a paint job like that. But we are indeed going to return very quickly as these guys start the final lap in the Shelton versus Gory battle in the final race of the season.
Who will win the battle for this last position in the top 5? Very deep for the Mustang, just manages to pull it up to the apex. That might have cost him a bit of time between turns 3 and 5. Just touching the curb on the exit. Nice clean run out of the corner for the both of them, but it seems like Kalman Giori has nailed the first few corners enough that he has the breathing room he needs.
Yeah, certainly. It looks like he got really good close up on the brakes there, as we are going to see. It looks like Parker Dime is going to getting ready there. It looks like I lost Shelton's connection for a second there, as he. I thought that was Parker Dime getting ready to make his way over towards the checkered ladies, ladies and gentlemen, but he's not quite yet there. He's got to make his way through here for the final time. You can see just in the background, Austin Diltz following in the darkness, and it looks like. That Nearhoof? Yeah, Nearhoof is there, and that's Jacob Quayle ahead of him, ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering who is rocking that Corvette. Fair to say they're going to have a little bit of a battle towards the end, but right now, I can tell you that Shelton has indeed dropped off behind Gory. That's the end of that battle, so let's give you a warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the winner, not just the championship winner, but indeed the race winner for the final round here of the Elite Entertainment Sportscar Series, sponsored by WBM Racing and indeed Transcendent Designs as well, as he makes his way across the line for the final line. Final time, the 57 of Parker Dime, ladies and gentlemen. Austin Diltz along in second, and Dustin Nearhoof will close in on third.
Well, it's a Mercedes podium lockout. Who knew we'd be saying that at the end of this season? And the celebrations begin as Dylan Newhart crosses the line for 4th. Kalman Giori's gotten far enough ahead of Kyle Shelton. It doesn't look like there's going to be any competition for the top 5 here at the very end of the race. It looks like there's a bit of a WBM pit party going on at turn 1 as they cross the line. Yeah, pieces of Mercedes all over the circuit. They only needed them for the one race. One of them's found his way onto his roof. Ethan Reed crosses the line for 7th, and it looks like our last finishes. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Ethan Reed with the smash.
Wow.
Oh, dear. I've not been spanked that hard in a long while.
Indeed.
Oh.
Me either. I'm usually the one doing the spanking. Anyway, into the final corner for Scott Harrah.
Cleared.
He's going to get a top 10 out of this one. Yep, indeed. Sent back to the pits. Well done to all of the finishers here as Harrah gets across the line there with, it seems, Morgan Smith pursuing. And as the sun has already set on Sebring, that is the sunset on the Elite Entertainment Sportscar Series 2nd season. Parker Dime, Austin Diltz, and Dustin Nearhoof will be your podium, with Dylan Newhart and Kalman Giori rounding out your top 5. Giori beating Shelton in the last couple of laps. Ethan Reed, he was fast. He took the lead early on, but a spin ruined his chances, and he had to settle for a 7th ahead of Rios, Lackney, and Harrah to round out your top 10. A lap down for Jacob Quayle and Adam Capps, with Morgan Smith and Fozzie Fazillo. 3 and 5 laps down respectively. It seems that Fazillo was able to get back out there into the race, but regardless, that's going to be the end of things for the racing action. And now we can get into driver interviews. The first we're going to chat to is Dustin Nearhoof. Bit of a coordinated effort there from the WBM guys, I think, to see what the Mercedes could do, Dustin, and apparently it brought you guys a lot of success.
It did. We decided to have some fun with the last race, and the Mercedes, we all love it. It's a good car. It's so fast, especially the new tire model. And the first lap, Parker and I had a huge run on the inside. I went in a little hard, flew across the field, but helped Parker out, so I managed to come back from it anyways. It was fun.
Certainly was, cutting your way through the field there. And Well, the end of the season upon us. You joined partway through, so you weren't here for all the rounds, but obviously you had your fun, despite the spin that we're looking at there in turn 1.
Yeah, before the race, I decided I'll make myself a livery. I decided I would go with Care Bears this week. Judging by, I asked Parker and Austin what they wanted. They said Care Bears, so I went for it. And hey, for a first paint, I'll take it.
Excellent stuff. We certainly got a good view of it from time to time. They certainly tasted the rainbow quite a bit through this race. But gearing up for next season in about 4 weeks' time, there's still talk of some changes to the league. There's a rebrand going on and class changes as well. So the future's looking pretty bright.
Yeah, I've heard talk about LMP2 cars getting thrown in there for us. I mean, I love LMP2 cars. That'd be a blast, I think. It's pretty evenly paced with throwing GT3s in there and then GT4s. I think it's a pretty even and good field to split up the faster guys to the lower guys. And I think it would make it more fun and more competitive for everybody.
Excellent stuff. Well, Dustin, thanks very much for joining us. Congratulations on the podium. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Oh, thank you guys for this great season. I joined part way, but it was a blast. It was so much fun. Thank you guys for putting it on, and plan on seeing you guys in the next season.
Absolutely. It's going to be fantastic. Dustin Niehoff there in the 126. We'll say our goodbyes to him and bring in Austin Diltz, stood by with Zippy.
Well, Austin, it's good to see you managed to find your way back here and behind the rig. Certainly it was a fun race for you, choosing to take the AMG this week. Tell us a little bit about what went into that decision.
Just being the last race of the season, Parker and I thought we'd have some fun and get an EOL and take a little bit more of a challenge.
Well, certainly it was indeed a great race by yourself. You managed to gain 10 positions, and certainly a fun way of doing it as well. But we do focus a bit more on next season coming. What are you hoping for to see in the what would be the Rev Limit Racing League?
I want the GTEs. I want to race that BMW M8 before it's gone.
Well, definitely, I do have fond memories of the GTEs myself. Actually, the Ferrari and the Corvette were more my go-to, but the RSR probably having one of the most savage soundtracks to ever grace the iRacing service. But, Austin, before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to share out today?
I mean, shout out to you guys. I always have an awesome broadcast. I love watching it back. Shout out to my wife for letting me do this, my dad for watching, and the team. I'm going to be coming for Parker next season.
Well, certainly it is indeed. Parker Dime has been an absolute animal. And speaking of which, he's now here in the booth. Reese, take over.
Yes, indeed. Parker Dime. Well, you managed to claim the championship at the previous round at Rudskogen, so this one was just a little bit of a fun outing, but it was certainly an active race for you, especially lap 1, cutting through from 13th to 4th by the time you got out of the first corner. What was that like?
It was exciting. I've been wanting to drive the Merc, and I finally got a group of guys to want to switch with me. And hats off to Dylan for being a good sport in that hairpin, because I didn't even dive bomb him on purpose. I just didn't have the brakes. But it was a fun race, and everyone seemed to have fun. I love Sebring. It's always a good one.
Absolutely. A solid season from you. Probably one of the biggest winning margins I've seen in a very long time. So do you think you'll be able to carry that success through to next season, depending on the available cars?
I don't know. I mean, you never know who's going to join, whatever. You don't want to say that you're going to win, but, I'll definitely try my best. I'm excited to see what they put together for next season. I think no matter what, it'll be fun.
I certainly will. Well, officially the champion now, Parker, of the Elite Entertainment Sportscar Series Season 2. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Thank you guys for putting on such a great broadcast for the whole season. It's always entertaining to watch back and commentary and hear Zippy say ladies and gentlemen. My parents actually have a drinking game they play. It's take a shot every time he says it. And I don't think they've been able to finish an episode yet.
Without being sauce. I love it.
No, thanks to my wife, WBM, and again, you guys and Adam and Drew for putting this all together. It was a blast.
Brilliant stuff. Parker Dime there, our series champion and winner of the final race of the season in the number 57, Zippy. It looks like that's going to conclude things for season 2 of the Elite Entertainment Sportscar Series. It's been a pleasure for us to bring it to you all here on Pit Road Productions. Any final thoughts before we get into the outro?
Absolutely. Now, ladies and gentlemen, now that I know there is indeed a drinking game going on in regards to this broadcast, I'm definitely going to have a fun moment with that. My apologies there, ladies and gentlemen, just tripping over my words very slightly. But a huge shout out to everybody involved in this league, not just the drivers, but indeed the people organising it behind the scenes. So we got Adam Capps, we got Drew Trader in there as well, Morgan Smith as well, and indeed the whole of the WBM crew as well. What a fantastic turnout, and indeed a little bit of recruitment gone on during the season of this as well. Certainly we want to see this continue to grow, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly I'd love to have them back when they do indeed rebrand to the Rev Limit Racing League. Certainly I'd be up for some multi-class as well, and if we don't end up broadcasting it, maybe we'll end up driving it. Certainly I would enjoy getting out and about, albeit I probably won't be one of the LMP2 cars because it's not one of my more stronger vehicles. Certainly we'll have to see how the field indeed shakes out, but a huge shout out to everybody who's taken part this season, whether that be on the track in organising it or indeed joining us in the YouTube chat as well. Thank you very much. But ladies and gentlemen, that's just for you, Mr. and Mrs. Dime. Ladies and gentlemen, by all means, thank you very much for joining us. Reese, close out the season, my friend.
Yeah, thanks once again to Elite Entertainment and WBM Racing for your support of this great championship, rebranding to the Rev Limit Racing League. They'll be running some recruitment races over the next few weeks as they get ready for the new season. Plenty of changes on the way, so stay tuned. I'm Reese Gardner, Daniel Zippy Salmon alongside me in the comms box and producing behind the scenes here on Pit Road Productions. Congratulations to our season winners, and we'll see you next time.